At least I know what to get you for your birthday.
What?
One of a
clapperboard?
clapperboard. Yeah. We have a use for it now. I think that would be really good.
Well, I'm Eli.
I'm Iona.
And this is Queer Reviewed.
First take.
Definitely the first take.
Yes.
There were no technical
errors.
Nothing bad, weird, strange.
Nope,
I didn't
neither.
just completely forget that the fan's on right next to our faces.
It's summer.
It's summer.
We're in Buffalo. We're not built for this.
No, I love that we literally had the heat on 2 nights ago and it's 82 degrees today.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's in the 80s and it's hot and
the sun is finally going down.
Yes.
And that is the only reason we have crammed into the studio today.
You are on photo.
I am on photo. Fantastic. Yeah. And this is where the video is going to cut in.
Okay.
Finally.
Okay.
Okay.
So a lot of these movies and shows or media that we consume during this podcast, I think is going to be, you've seen it 20 times. And this will be my first time watching it.
Some of the stuff we have on the list is going to be my first time seeing it.
Ooh.
Or, like, it's just something I haven't gotten around to, or just honestly, sometimes things are hard to find copies of when there aren't many copies of them, and they're old.
There is one movie, I don't think we have it on the list, or I could be wrong. I don't read. Dark Harbor.
Okay. Dark Harbor is technically on a list.
So, but today we're doing Bound.
1996 from the Wachowskis.
Not to be confused with 2015, apparently.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's the same thing, but there is a 2015 Bound, and every time I tried to watch it at home, my roommates went, "Do you mean the 2015 version?" I went, "No. Give me Jennifer Tilly."
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah.
So Bound was the Wachowskis' first project, actually, first directorial debut.
Yep, and it was a audition piece, kind of, to see if they could be trusted with set time or set equipment.
Yeah. So, I will say the dialogue for me is it reads a lot like high school lesbian poetry.
Yes.
Which is, for those of you who don't know this or are too young to have been alive for this, I am so sorry that, this is kind of, the Wachowski sisters used to be the Wachowski brothers. So maybe the fact that their initial dialogue sounded a lot like yearning lesbian poetry from high school.
Shocker. It was
out.
telling. Yeah.
I am not particularly well versed in how their personal lives ended up playing out beyond I was alive during the whole Lana's divorce. So
this will be interesting because I don't pay attention as much to producers, directors, things like that. I did not know that they did The Matrix.
Yes.
But it did make it very interesting I didn't know they were trans.
Right.
I didn't know that they did The Matrix, and the difference between the two projects is insane.
Well, I mean, yeah, because Bound, I would say, is clearly some kind of wildly. The closet is made of glass.
Yep.
With all due respect, and the Matrix is, at least one of them was somewhat along on their journey at that point.
I don't know about Gina Gershon, but I know that Jennifer Tilly did say it was her favorite role, not just because of the role itself, but the atmosphere that they created.
Sure.
And I did try to listen and read some discourse about the movie
Mhm.
because I was like, maybe I'm late to the party. Maybe this is just a super popular piece. I just saw Gina Gershon in a wife beater and I was like, I gotta see that movie. I don't know what it's about. Um, but the whole atmosphere and everything was like very safe.
It was. Uh, I thought it was really interesting because you find out eventually that Violet, Jennifer Tilly's character, is more or less some form of a sex worker.
Yeah,
And when she considers herself to be at work, it is generally she's being physically intimate in some capacity that we never actually see on screen with men. But she explicitly out loud does not consider that to be sex because that is just being at work for her.
yes. And I also want to point out, do we want to just like throw in fun facts about
Yeah,
this, or do we want to go like kind of like down the chronological order of things?
just go for it.
Um the as expected with like a lesbian film
Mhm,
that has straight men in it, um the character Caesar, her boyfriend, partner,
mhm.
whatever, he boss, um the stark difference in his like demeanor when he walks in. He can tell she's cheating on him
Oh yeah,
immediately, but then he sees it's a woman. He's like, "Ah,
right. So he even says out loud, "Oh, I thought no."
never mind."
And it's so funny because I am not a woman anymore.
Obviously.
I know that we're not supposed to say anymore.
Anymore is crazy. Yeah.
Um,
I think you're allowed to say whatever you want.
no, I am pretty far along on my own transition. So, but e- in earlier parts of my life where maybe I was more female presenting, peop straight people really do not absorb that it's happening right in front of their faces.
Yes.
Like, I've had people who have met my partners and who have known out loud that is my partner. And like a day later, I'll get the, "Oh, who was that, by the way?" And I'm like,
My
my
partner.
partner, who I speak about frequently with pronouns that would lead you to believe I am not straight."
Yep.
And it just, no offense to anyone, kind of feels like spoon feeding a child sometimes. So the fact that that was his reaction in that movie, in that moment, honestly, that actually kind of nailed it.
Yes, I think it was very realistic, and a good portrayal of like how queer relationships are regarded, or just queer interactions, anything.
Right.
So,
It's a noisy life, folks.
uh, I will say, even when it comes to flirting, though,
Mhm.
off rip, the how close Corky and Violet are when Violet comes over to talk about
The noise
Corky, the
level.
noise
Yeah.
levels. I think even under gay panic, I would be like, "You're really close, and you have coffee breath. I know who you. You're Jennifer Tilly, and I get it, but that's really close, man." um, yeah, I didn't know that it was a crime
Okay.
like story.
Thriller.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
crime thriller at all when we watched it the first time. Is that Are we gonna keep that? Like, do you want to cut that?
No,
You're okay.
we can keep it.
Okay.
I think most of this we're gonna keep for the first rip.
Hell yeah.
So we got a little background noise here. Please don't DCMA us.
Um,
DMCA? Digital Millennial Copyright Act, DMCA.
how are we about swearing?
Do it. I am so sorry if you are sensitive to strong language. We are adults, and sometimes I'm going to cuss in the middle.
Okay, okay. As long as I know. Um, so yeah, the first time I saw the film, I didn't know anything about it,
Mhm.
and I did think, wow, this is a really accurate like portrayal of lesbianism, right?
The vibe, I would say,
Yeah.
a lot of the interpersonal vibe, even if I think that the dialogue reads a little melodramatic and corny after the fact, I think a lot of the vibe between everyone felt very realistically human.
Yeah, the the two characters did have a lot of chemistry, and there was even chemistry between Caesar. Like there's all around. It was really good casting, really good direction. You could tell what each vibe was pretty strong.
I will say something very interesting with Caesar's character
Hmm.
is I think a lot of the time in movies with this kind of vibe where there's sort of like a gangster's mole type character, I'm sitting there the whole movie going, I don't understand why you're scared to just skip town on this guy, like just fucking leave. And then I'm going to be really honest, he really sold that just being an extremely brutal person, like
Yes.
martially capable. Clearly, there's a reason they brought him forward for the Matrix too. You know,
Yes. Who was he in the Matrix?
he was
Oh
Cypher.
my gosh. I do have to watch The Matrix again, actually.
You know, he was the one who wanted to go back in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I will say that is the most hair I've seen on that actor.
Um,
So at first, I did not recognize him. I did like his character, Mickey, though. That one,
weird.
weird.
Where you're like, this man cannot possibly be as dim as he is coming across
No.
and be who he is to the rest of these people.
All
Like
just to get a smooch.
he's basically the middle step between like the crime boss and
Yes.
Caesar, and there is no one else there. And this man is blissfully daffy.
Yeah.
Just blissfully daffy. I don't know how else to say that. Um, and
Yeah.
even he, because Violet says, "Oh no, Mickey saw me at the club with girls. He knows how I am," which was not what Corky was trying to say in the moment, by the way. Um, where I'm just like, it really is. It can be right out there in their face, and it just doesn't register as being real.
No. Gotta love it. Um, is it not real or is it just not valid?
Well, you know what I mean.
You know?
Like, I feel like there is a level of very commonly, whether or not this is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people in general have a lot of trouble absorbing that other people have interior lives to begin
Yes.
with. And when you come into a kind of just baseline cultural, typical level of misogyny that was really not anything anyone was even considering examining at the time. Or a lot of that has been a lot more recent than it feels like, I think.
Yeah.
Like, not really being able to conceptualize somebody else as being a whole entire person is still, sexist or whatever.
Yeah, I think that there's there's kind of two ways it's generally approached.
Mhm.
which is like fetishized, and then just, well, it doesn't matter because
It's not real.
it's not real. And I don't know what's worse. I don't, like,
Is it terrible to say? I think that matters on a case by case
yeah,
basis. Uh,
but let's get back to Jennifer.
but let's get back to Jennifer Tilly,
I
indeed.
am really mad I hadn't seen the film before decided to grow out my hair, because that would have been, it would have just looked like I decided to just dress nice for an occasion, but I would have known it was a costume.
Could have gotten a, temporary tattoo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I don't think I have the tits for it, but
I,
also,
is it wrong to say I think the tits are a state of mind?
actually we can end the whole podcast right there.
Okay.
That's that's and that was a statement that will stick with me.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay, okay.
But I also want to introduce something while
Hmm.
we're doing specifically sapphic
Sure,
media,
sure, sure.
the UTI meter.
Yes, the UTI meter. I had actually already forgotten about this.
Oh, I wrote
Um,
it down.
listen, Saltburn has got at least absolutely nothing on Bound 1996 because here's the thing. Both gorgeous women,
Beautiful, yes.
a, a joy to see act. I understand that they had a very nice time, with certain scenes they felt very safe in. Uh, I hear from the production notes. But yeah, no, the first scene where they are actually intimate is Corky has just Gina Gershon's character had just finished digging an earring out of the U bend of a sink. And boy, oh boy, I do hope this was a deliberate choice on production's part because her nail bed still looked grody as
Oh yeah.
hell. And I don't think Jennifer Tilly's character, I don't think Violet cared that much.
No.
And all I could think was, man, good for them.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I don't know.
oh.
I don't know how popular this is gonna go, but even in like really excited moments, you can take a second and wash your hands.
Uh,
Get a toothpick or something, scrape the nails.
just get the dish brush under
Just
there for a second,
get some
maybe.
Dawn on that.
I look. I like to think of myself as a fun boy, but uh, I'd like to live to see another tomorrow, not doubled up in the bathroom.
And I think it was really interesting that they decided to zoom in on the hands so much and still didn't clean her nails.
On the other hand, though, I think it was because there's like a scene not too long after that where I think the entire point of the scene was to have a bunch of creaking leather going on.
Yeah,
Um, I think the grody may have been the point,
some people are into it.
but it was still ooh, this is a movie we can get into on the sort of secondary list again, Crash, which I believe was also 1996.
Great year.
Great year for whatever the hell that was. I'm not trying to spoil any of the movie before we get there, but man, Elias Koteas's character had in the 4K restoration I got to see a few weeks ago the grodiest unwashed hands for the entire movie, which is something I had never been able to clock before. Oh man.
It,
So once again, can only assume it must have been some kind of deliberate decision on production's part, and if it was, like I can think that's grody as hell thinking about it physically, but like I like that as a touch.
and she licked the fingers first too. Like that was in your sink.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So you know what?
hey,
Good for you, girl. I don't know. So anyway, yeah, UTI meter. I'm gonna say that's.
6.
I was gonna say 7.5.
We can meet in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah. Because she also did clean the sink. I'm gonna call it did not I've been in sinks and it did not end the same way as it did for Corky. It was just not fun. But so yeah, that's why I'm like a little lower.
Okay.
But
Okay. I'm just saying, like, Saltburn kind of gross too. He was only really going around the drain.
I forgot about that. There is one scene that really just sticks with me from Saltburn.
But we can get to that
We'll get
event.
to that
We can
another
get to that
time.
another time.
I think everybody knows what scene it is.
If
As
if
there's
if
like
you've if
15
you've if you've
scenes.
been there, you can probably take an educated guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I also thought that something that was really interesting was how they decided for and against the way they showed the physical violence,
Yes.
because the harder gore, I would say, moments, because it's a bunch of mobsters. There's some stereotypical interrogation scenes that go on, and a lot of the harder gore, they actually shied away from the moment of impact.
Yes.
Like, they
The fingers.
definitely they made you think that was going to happen, and they showed the fingers hitting the floor, but they did not actually.
Yeah.
But
Something Euphoria hasn't done. And they could.
mm,
I think that, yeah, some shade.
I'll have to get around to all that mess eventually.
You don't. You really don't. As somebody that
Oh.
took a little bit of a stroll through season 3, you don't.
Hmm.
And I'm not gonna say anything more about it because that show pisses me off. But
So, oh my goodness, yeah, violence. The way that they were showing the violence, because like the really really hard gore, they did definitely shy away from the actual moment of impact. But when people were actually physically fighting, they were really not cutting that.
yeah, and I do appreciate that. I think it's pretty tasteful. I'm sensitive to gore. I'm pretty fine with blood. I don't like when things are cut off of people. I don't really like that part of it. But
Mhm.
I'm fine seeing the limb or seeing
The
the
aftermath,
the aftermath is fine. So I really appreciated that part.
right?
The toilet transition.
Oh
Pretty freaking good.
yeah. Oh, that was um basically they. I'm sure if you've seen it, you know what we're talking about. But there's a moment where Corky can hear a gentleman being beat up in the bathroom next door, and you get a shot to the blood spattering on the porcelain.
It shows you the toilet from Corky's apartment that she's in, and then the transition is so seamless into there being blood splattering onto the water.
Yes, yes, yes.
And then you see the full scene because
And
you
it
can.
pulls back out into the other bathroom.
And I know we brought up the differentiation for Violet between sex and work.
Yeah.
If you dig like a layer deeper on that,
Hmm.
the only other thing that you hear on the other side of the wall is torture,
That's also
or
true.
like just that aspect of things. And I think that is like a pretty good symbolic um touch to it. Like it's the darker side of that life and that job.
Like, if we want to get technical about it,
Yeah.
what she is choosing to do for work is, even if her choice may be a form of violence, that she subjects herself to.
Yes. And I liked that. I thought that that was, or it could just simply be on the flip side of it, um, just what Corky is experiencing. Like all you can,
Like how
all,
that comes across to her,
yes,
at least. Yeah.
just all around bad.
Yeah. and I do think the other part about the movie that I like, all around bad being a thing, like Corky is freshly out of several years of prison for
Yes.
stealing, and I gotta say, does not have a moment's hesitation about jumping right back in.
There's I would say
Nah.
there's a moment. There's literally
Mm,
a moment where she goes, "You're talking about screwing over the mob. You need to be really good at it." And Violet goes, "You said you're really good at it." And she goes, "Damn, I guess you're right." Kiss me. I mean, kind of perfect.
yeah, no, but so it's not so much I think everyone's a bad person, but like
I think everyone's gray.
everyone's a everyone's at least a little messy here, like however
Yeah,
we want to cut it.
I think everyone is pretty gray. You can see the humanity in each person. There is no just one specific demon. There is no one completely like villainized
Yeah.
person. And I love a morally gray character. So having a cast full, terrific. What was I gonna say? We covered that. And this is in the bloopers. um, how long do you think she like the character had been planning it? Like, do you think she found out that because
Okay.
it's a pretty drastic
Okay.
switch because she figures out that Corky went to prison for theft
Right.
and that she was good at it and all that, and
Mhm.
then all of a sudden couldn't take it.
Y- I do think that maybe it had been something she had been attempting in small ways for a
Yeah.
while because when Violet tries to leave the apartment um while that torture scene is going on,
Mm-hmm.
she does go to Mickey and say, "I want to leave, but I know Caesar's going to freak out. Like I know he is going to freak out." And Mickey does that. Just let me worry
I
about him.
got him.
Please get out of here. I get it. So clearly this is not the first time something like this has happened.
Mm-hmm. I
And
also think that her only other way out, if she was going to stay in the business and get any assistance from Mickey, was she was going to have to be with Mickey.
real.
That was the only way that because
Right.
Caesar had already demonstrated not being like,
Deeply unchill. Just being
yeah.
deeply unchill about basically everything.
But the only time that he couldn't do anything is if what's Law and Order guy's name?
Christopher Maloney.
What is his character's name?
Oh,
Joey?
goodness gracious, I had not absorbed that character's name. I'm going to be 100% with y'all.
It's either Joey or Frankie. It's one of the two.
You know.
Um, Law and Order, Law and Order guy. He he'd flirted with her in front of him, didn't do anything. Mick flirted with her, didn't do anything. So it would have been she just ends up moving up.
But essentially in the exact same situation with the exact same people.
Yes.
It
Same
it
problem.
is not actually an out, it is just cycling somewhere around the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she knew that too.
And that's why she stole the
And
$2 million.
that's why she wanted to steal the $2 million.
I think that the whole everybody is kind of gray. Like there is no specific good character thing.
Mhm.
And there's a happy ending, which in queer cinema is so rare. We're not allowed to be happy.
And when we are, it's kind of I actually might wish for the bad ending.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So having morally gray characters with a happy ending, and I thought that was a really, really good way to finish it off because I did not think they were both gonna live to the end.
Or even if not a happy ending, just like a glimmer of hope on the way out.
Yes. Which
Like
is kind of better
yeah,
than a concrete, like, happy ever after.
So here's my thing about the end, where I feel like if somebody wanted to do the most minimal amount of digging into this situation, that they would have figured out on the the mafia group's end what had happened. Because Corky does go the interesting route of blowing a very small portion of the money on a beautiful, nice new car. But
Mhm.
instead of it being, a Camaro or a Ferrari or, a Bentley or what the fuck ever, it is, forgive me, was it a Ford or Chevy
Truck. Pickup
truck,
truck.
bright red, actually had a
Yep.
usable bed space because it was still the mid 90s and we didn't have these ugly fucking Dodges rolling around everywhere. If you're a Dodge owner, I don't like you.
At least we can't say anything about Subarus. Uh, um,
Hey, the vehicle of the people, come on now.
how is there a thing with Hondas in the gay community?
Not that I was aware of.
Okay. I just happen to know a few gays that have Hondas, I
Well,
guess.
I mean, certainly, eventually, statistically, you're gonna know someone with
Every car, yeah,
most kinds.
yeah. But
But the reason that I think that's so interesting, coming back around to the, oh, if this isn't 100% exactly the way you are stereotypically expecting something very heterosexual to play out, who's going to look for a Ford F-150 or I'm so sorry, whatever she drove, that is just happens to be nice enough to have a little beep beep car alarm on it? It's not even hiding in plain sight. Nobody's going to bother looking.
yeah, I thought my interpretation of the movie was that she just fixed up hers. She got her
Okay.
own car or her own truck fixed up with a new
Um,
paint job.
I I don't think that was the same model truck.
Oh,
I don't think that was the same model truck.
and this is when the non-binary says, "I'm just a girl."
Yeah, I know.
How did you think I could pick that up?
I would have to go back and look, but I do genuinely think that the truck that Corky had at the beginning of the movie would have been at least a few years old, probably something she stored before she went to prison.
Yeah,
And it is definitely starting to breeze out there, but that is not a bad thing.
yeah. I couldn't tell because of the trees. I couldn't tell if that was rain or not, and it just started pouring in the background.
Folks, it's been nasty. Oh, I'm leaning straight out of frame. Folks, it's been nasty here the last couple of days, just muggy out of nowhere, so I'm
Yeah.
going to take the rain. Um,
But overall, brilliant film. I'm really happy that like both of the Wachowski sisters, I'm really happy that they created such a safe environment, and I'm happy that I don't know the orientation of the actors. I'm or
I I honestly don't dig into people's personal lives like that too much because unless it's just like I don't know, weirdly common public knowledge, I don't
yeah.
it's none of my business.
Yeah. I will look up like gender or like
Sure.
if it's if it's a thing that they're out loud about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
If it's
yeah,
a quick
yeah.
Google search, then I will just for the sake of like representation. Like if I come across a actor that is like non-binary
Hmm.
and they're playing, a specific role, I'm like, "Oh my god."
Right.
But yeah, I don't know the orientation of both of the actors, but it was nice to see that representation done in the 90s so explicitly.
Yeah. Um
They had a hard time casting both roles because of how explicit it was.
and I think I knew this, but you mentioned it to me. Jennifer Tilly had actually originally been cast as Corky,
Yep.
which I mean, I love that we got Violet, but also, man, Jennifer Tilly Butch moment. I
There's
think that would have been
there's
fantastic.
edits out there, you know it. I'm not on TikTok anymore, but that would have done numbers.
Oh, it would have. Oh, I had a thought and I
I do
lost it.
love like a mask representation with like a really soft voice, like a very effeminate voice, but I do like the way that they switched it around. I can't picture Gina Gershon playing Violet.
So, honestly, I think I kind of could, because I don't know if you've seen Showgirls.
Nope.
Okay. Nebulous as to whether that goes on the secondary list, honestly. But Gina Gershon's character is the head dancer of like a Vegas showgirl performance, and I'm so sorry I cannot remember the lead actress's name from that off the top of my head. Elizabeth Berkley,
Okay.
I think. Oh, I'm gonna really kick myself if that's not her when I go look this up afterward. But she's they've got a weird tension because like clearly like, oh, the new dancer wants to take my spot or whatever, but like there's a little energy
Kind
there
of
that
like
they definitely lean pretty hard into. Like it's like a weird
I have seen Burlesque.
evil sapphic kind of
Yeah.
thing.
I've
Like
seen Burlesque and it's not as sapphic, but it's
does
similar.
sorry, is that the Christina
Oh
Aguilera?
yeah.
Okay, I have never actually seen that.
Oh, we're having a night.
Okay.
We're having a night. You'll show me Showgirls. I'll show you Burlesque.
All right.
We'll have a lot of non-alcoholic beer.
Ay, ay. But
But yeah, the sex choreographer or the intimacy choreographer
sure.
for Bound actually made a cameo in the film.
Oh,
So in one of the first scenes when Corky goes into the bar to pick up a lovely lady, the woman that she approaches and sits next to try to pick up, that is the intimacy coordinator.
oh.
And because things are gay, the gray-haired woman in the booth over is the intimacy coordinator's ex. And I can't remember the name off of the top of my head, but I thought that was a really nice touch that she was like a part of it.
Yeah.
And the actual sex scene, they they did a closed shoot, but they had a bunch of monitors and they had a camera on a crane, and uh Jennifer Tilly said she preferred that sex scene out of any other sex scene she'd done with a man because it was more comfortable with a woman. They became just buddies after this, and she said, even when filming with a man,
And here comes the
and
rain
there's
again.
the rain.
Anyway,
That was cool. Even when filming with a man, there is a okay. Even when filming with a man, there is a sense of I still want to be attractive to him for her. So when she was able to film with Gina, it was much more comfortable, and she would be able to say like, "Oh, put your hand on my ass so it doesn't look so big." Like, "Oh, can you plump up my left boob with your hand to make it look a little bigger?" Um and like things like that. So when it came to the actual, scene, they had the crane there and they would yell out, "Toes!" And she would have to Gina Gershon would like have to curl the toes, and they would just announce what part of the body they were going up for that scene. She said it was crazy. It took 8 takes. And she just said like they would get up, she would have her hand over her groin, and she would just like move her fingers a little. She'd be like, "Okay, face." Then she's like, "Okay, now you have to bust." And I can't imagine doing that 8 times. God bless them.
God.
But yeah. What would you rate it?
Okay, I would give this a solid 8.9.
I would also, yeah, I would give this about 8.5. Yeah.
8.5, 9-ish. It's just I would have liked a little bit more polish on the dialogue,
Yes.
generally speaking, even though it works for the movie. I just thought a slightly more human sounding dialogue, but I think that what was there was lovely. That's just me from a structural standpoint.
Yeah.
And also, I'm going to be honest, some of the sequence where they're trying to maneuver the money out of the house and not tip Caesar off really
Rough.
dragged out about 4 scenes too long. Like I don't know what I would have done there, but like at some point if I'm going, girl, just leave.
Yeah.
But what an incredible showing for
Yeah, for a
a
first
first project
production.
out. Like, wow.
That
I think you can only make The Matrix to top that at that point.
yeah, yeah, because that would be some people's highlight.
Yeah,
So, the fact that that was their first take, that's how they got the Matrix money.
eventually.
Yep.
But yeah, I would say a solid. I liked that it was not a fairy tale happy ending, but it felt realistic that maybe these two people were going to be okay in some capacity.
Yes. I did appreciate that.
And to answer your question, to how long she had to have been planning that, well, I mean, she had to have gotten that cell phone beforehand
Oh, yeah.
without Caesar realizing, or he would have known that was in play the entire time.
Mhm.
And I will say the fact that cell phones as they exist now did not
Nope.
exist then. Text messaging did not exist on those things at all. Um, I don't think this plot would have worked with smartphones in play.
No.
However, I will say an interesting thing that even though this kind of really only works as a queer movie from just the other characters' perceptions of Violet and Corky, I do think any of the three main characters, if you just happen to swap gender on Violet or on Corky or on honestly Caesar, it still works.
Yeah.
It still 100% works as a movie. Plot wise, it works.
You can cut this if you want to. I did have my roommates watch it with me when I started, before we decided to do the podcast, and my roommate goes, "Now, why does there have to be a boy lesbian and a girl lesbian?"
Because it was
Because it was
1996, man.
1996.
And they were playing a lot with like visual, very specific
Yeah.
fetish type things. The leather scene,
Yeah.
the plumbing scene, stuff
So,
like that. So like I understand where that comes from though. Like if you're gonna do it, just go the full route. Do the very common stereotypes.
oh yeah. Because they were good for a reason
Yeah.
at the time, and it worked.
And honestly, I think it still does.
Yeah.
So, like I said, solid 8.9.
8.9, I give it 8.5. I think this was a great movie to start with.
Was.
Yeah.
We have not decided on June's
It's gotta be
film,
a good one
um, but it will be towards the end of the month, so we will have had all of Pride
to to think on
um,
it.
and all of the month going through because, we are in the US, so we do celebrate June Pride.
Yes.
Um, Looking forward to that because I just think May has been a nightmare for everyone.
April was bad,
May
May
is weird.
May is May was something.
May sure has been something. But if we see you out, we will see you out if this posts before parade weekend, and if we don't, maybe we'll see you around. Thanks for sitting with us and listening to us ramble very disjointedly about this, and hope to see you back for the next episode next month.
Thanks, guys.